attendants, prepare for takeoff, please.
Test 1, 2.
Test 1, 2.
Mike's sounding pretty good. Levels are looking good.
We're looking good.
We are looking good. Cheers, Pete.
Cheers, mate.
All right, Mr. Peter, Here we are, our first attempt at a first ever episode of our new travel podcast.
Welcome.
Pumped?
Very.
I'm excited. We're going to crack straight into the content to get to the value, to get to the stories, to get to the tips and tricks.
The juicy bits.
The juicy bits, indeed. Today's topic, flight strategy. So we're talking about everything from the start process of arriving at the airport, through check-in, through the lounge, through boarding, on the airplane, in flight, landing and departure out at your destination airport and out the gates into your new adventure. Different people have their different opinions.
That's very true.
Everybody has their own strategy. So straight off the bat, tell me, are you the kind of person who arrives at the airport early or late? What's your strategy for arrival at the airport?
Well, that depends on international or domestic flight.
It does.
If I'm on a domestic flight, there's usually no checked-in luggage. It's just carry on. So I'm kind of more of the turn up with an hour till my flight, 45 minutes to an hour, and just cruise straight onto the plane because obviously there's never any sort of dilemmas at the airport.
Never ever.
You just cruise straight through. It's obvious.
Always perfect.
It's always perfect.
And what about for an international flight? Assuming you've got checked luggage on an international flight?
Assuming I've got checked luggage, I usually like to leave myself, 2-hour window just to be safe. Sometimes that wavers depending on, the night before, how many beers you've had, how many people you've had to say goodbye to. You're very excited.
Having a bit of a farewell.
Having the one last hurrah with your family and friends. Sometimes it gets a bit leery.
Fair enough.
That's when you turn up late to the airport with a massive hangover and mad regrets.
And in that case, it was out of your control.
Right. And I'm only human, right?
The night before took the control of the morning after.
Exactly. And,
and you're just glad you got to the airport.
I'm just happy I made it.
And I think it really depends on what country you're in.
Yeah, that's true.
Some countries, some airports are much more efficient than others, and also which airline you're flying with.
Yeah.
If you're with a more reputable, a higher end airline, they're going to be nicer, kinder, give more leeway, be more efficient with their check-in. Whereas if you're going with a very low-cost airline, like those in Europe, for example, who just do the bare basics, the lineups are long, they have minimal staff, check-in can take a long time. So you want to be aware of that and give yourself that extra time. If you're with EasyJet or Ryanair, you know that they're cheap for a reason.
They're definitely cheap for a reason.
You don't want to risk missing it or being late to check in. If you fly with a cheaper airline, probably give yourself a little bit more time. If you're flying with a top-line airline, you can know that they're going to be more streamlined and more organised and with it, and that check-in is going to be a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Now, when you go to actually check in, do you have any strategy or tips or tricks that you like? For example, naturally, you're pretty nice to the staff.
Of course.
Flirt with them a bit. Is there any particular things you may be asking for? Any little special privileges?
Look, I'm pretty tall, so if I can get myself an exit seat, I'm all for it. So that's one that I'll probably ask for sometimes.
We are all about the exit seats.
Yeah,
we love exit seats.
You're quite tall yourself, so you know that little bit of extra of leg room is always very much wanted.
So what's your strategy for trying to get an exit seat?
Look, I just try and flatter my eyelids a little bit, look as friendly and as innocent as possible and, play the sympathy card. Look how tall I am. Look at my knees. They're so sore all the time. And
so you put on the sympathy act.
Yeah, mate, you got to try
and put on a bit of a guilt trip.
Yeah. And also, I'm willing to, I'm ready to open that door at the drop of a hat if need be.
Tell them that you're very fit and enabled.
Yeah, I'm a responsible adult, fit and enabled.
Strong. Alert.
Sometimes.
Studied the safety card many times.
Oh, I know it well.
Know the drill. Know where the emergency exits are.
Yeah.
All right. So you're doing everything to increase your chances to show them that you are the ultimate candidate for an exit row seat.
It doesn't work very often, to be honest. Sometimes, but not too often.
There's also one or two friends who work in the airline industry as cabin crew and that sort of thing. Have you heard of the Bob theory?
The Bob theory?
The Bob theory.
I don't think I have.
The B-O-B. Bob.
Yep.
It's actually an acronym and like a secret code that apparently some of the staff use, and it stands for best on board.
Oh,
So the check-in people allegedly try to allocate the exit row seats to the bobs,
Really?
the best on boards.
is that as in best on board as in physically? And
as in best looking? So the desk clerks try to fill up the 2 exit row aisles with good-looking people so that the cabin crew have a nice fun time looking at 2 rows of good-looking people, looking at the bobs.
Is that why I always get the exit?
That's why you never get the exit row seats.
No, always did, always.
Supposedly. I don't know if it's
okay.
particular airlines or particular countries, but cabin
Right.
crew, they're going to be upset that I've let their secret out of the bag.
Maybe if there's any cabin crew listening, they could.
They can write in and let us know if
know.
this is true or not,
Yeah,
depending
please do.
on their airline or what country they work in.
Yeah.
But I definitely know that, well, at least the story has been told to me by a few different cabin crew.
Right.
Can't remember which airlines they work for. It was a while ago, but they definitely told me the Bob theory, the Bob secret code.
I feel like that one of those airlines might be one of the airlines that's recently gone under, and
Could be one of the Australian
no
airlines.
names mentioned there.
I like to ask the practical details about the flight. So how long the flight is, confirm how long the flight is so I know what sort of time frame I've got, so then I can start thinking about my meals, my toilet breaks, my movies, my sleep time, my drinking, that sort of thing. Also, I want to know what meals are actually included. Of course, higher end airlines provide some meals and drinks. Low cost, cheap airlines provide pretty much nothing. So I want to know what food and drink I'm going to be getting or I'm going to be required to pay for or bring along myself so that I don't go hungry and thirsty. I also want to know if there's any entertainment included. On good airlines, even cheaper airlines now, but still good cheaper airlines, they usually have the entertainment screens in the back of the seats, which is always nice to watch a few movies, watch some TV shows or listen to music and whatnot.
For sure.
But the very cheap airlines still, and if it's a shorter flight, usually anything under 2 hours and a cheaper airline, they sometimes won't have the entertainment screens in the back of the seats. And that can come as a surprise. When you get on the flight and you're like, cool, I can't wait to just watch a TV show or not and chill out. And then you get there and you realize that this is a really cheap airline and I've booked a really cheap ticket that doesn't even have the screens in the back of the seats to watch any TV shows or movies. So you definitely want to find that out so you know, so you don't get a disappointing surprise. And so you can prepare, get your iPad, iPhone, whatever it is, laptop, have your movies ready to go, have them downloaded, have your music downloaded, have your podcasts, like this podcast downloaded.
Of course.
So you can listen to it on the plane. And know that you need to not only download your favorite music, podcasts, and movies ready for the plane, but also have those devices fully charged up.
Yes, important.
Because not all the planes have the best charging facilities. They don't always work that well, or there's not always that many outlets.
No.
You can't always rely on the ability to be able to charge any devices on the plane. So you want to have them fully charged up before you go, either before you get to the airport or, worst case, charge them up while you're in the airport in the waiting lounge, waiting at your gate to board your flight. All right, so you're coming to the airport, hopefully with a reasonable enough time, but you're not one of these people that turn up super duper early.
No, I like to. I mean, airports, they're not the greatest of places.
They're
let's
not
be
fun
honest.
to hang out at.
No, and
When you spend a fair bit of time at them and you visit
Yeah.
them a lot when you travel, I'm the same. I like to come in pretty late. I usually travel without checked luggage.
Yeah.
Unless I've got something that I need, like surfboards or snowboards with me.
Yep.
I'm usually just carry on, even for some international flights, just carry on.
Of course.
So I'm rolling in last. I have been lucky on a couple of occasions where I've rolled in last and rolled up, and the desk agent has told me that the plane is quite full or even overbooked. And I started to panic, thinking that I'm going to get bumped from the flight, but instead they had to upgrade me
bumped up.
because I was one of the last to check in.
Ah,
But that could obviously work in your favor or go totally against you if you did get bumped. But yeah, I'm a kind
can
of
they do that? Can they just bump you off the flight?
I believe so. I believe some airlines, that's their business strategy is to overbook flights by 20%.
Right.
So if the flight's got, say, 100 seats,
Yep.
they'll sell 120
Yep.
because statistically the percentage of people that don't turn up or cancel or whatever is 20%.
Okay.
So they will normally only actually have 100 people fill the seats even though they sold 120. There'll
Right.
be the 20% buffer of people that cancel or don't turn up for whatever reason.
Okay.
And then on the occasions where
Yeah.
they've got 105 or 110 people do turn up for 100 seats, they either upgrade them or they bump them
Switch
on
out.
to later flights.
Yeah, okay.
Especially companies who have, a flight, the same flight going an hour later or 2 hours later
Yeah.
or whatever. they'll bump them, and then
Put on
again,
the next one, yeah.
hopefully the next one only has 95 turn up for the 100 seats or whatever. Supposedly it's in the T's and C's, the terms and conditions,
Really?
the fine print, that it's not guaranteed and it's all subject to availability and blah, blah, blah.
Well, I guess if you got bumped off one flight, you'd need to make the next one, even if the other flight was overbooked, because you are very early.
End up,
So
very
you're very
early, you end
checked
up
in.
first in line. So,
Yeah.
that has happened to me with the budget airlines
Oh, yeah?
in Central America, flying in and out of Mexico. I got bumped twice because I turned up quite late and all the seats had been taken.
Yeah.
And there was me and maybe 5 or 6 others that weren't too happy that we had to wait around a couple of hours for the next flight.
That doesn't sound like Central America at all.
No, I mean, normally they're
So
everything's
efficient.
on time.
So efficient.
Must have just got unlucky on
Yeah,
that
it
one
was just a
day in
bad day,
Mexico.
mate.
where-
Yeah.
What about going through passport control and through security? Have you got any strategies or
I
etiquette
try to
there?
look as friendly as possible.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes it can be difficult when, you're 6 months into a trip and haven't had a wash or a shave for quite some time. Apparently I've got a angry face, get many questions.
You get a few questions, dude. You get picked on sometimes.
Sometimes, I mean, you know how I've got long hair and sometimes quite often a very large beard. Again, if you haven't showered, have a bit of an odor.
Uh-huh.
You send off the wrong signals. I got
So
a pretty nice smile though, so I try and,
There you go.
just twinkle in the eye
Move
kind of
off with
stuff. But I'm all about just getting the job done, being prepared when you get to that. I feel like border security and that must deal with a lot of clowns. You see those people fumbling around at the border like they're surprised that they all of a sudden need to get their passport out. You're like, this is what you're here for.
They're
You should-
surprised that they need to give their passport to passport control.
Exactly,
They're
right?
surprised that they need to get their laptop out at security.
At
check.
security, exactly. I'm prepped and ready for that.
Yep.
And I've got my passport in my hand, my laptop in my hand.
You're looking ahead. You're ready to go.
I'm ready to get through that
Belts
gate.
unbuckled.
Belts
you're looking
off.
to see if they want shoes off. You
Yeah.
get the laces untied.
Yeah,
ready to flick them off.
Usually I got thongs on anyway, so it doesn't matter. Or
Yep.
flip flops, depending where you're listening from.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I'm pretty on point with the old passport control.
And that strategy, I guess, dips over into etiquette,
Definitely.
especially if you're at a busy airport.
Yeah.
And the lineup's long.
There's nothing worse, right?
Than people who are just flapping about, can't find their passports.
Having a chat. If you're one of those people, you're the worst person ever.
You hold us up. I do try to, sometimes you get to the front of the line
Mm-hmm.
and then there's a staff member directing people to each sort of like security conveyor belt.
Yep.
I do try to pick which one I want to go to based on the
Definitely.
people in front of me
Oh, yeah, for sure.
and totally profile them for how quick or slow, how clumsy or efficient they're going to be at the security.
Yeah.
Families,
Yeah.
no
avoid,
disrespect to the families, but they are slow.
avoid them.
Understandably.
Yeah,
because
they've got a lot going
kids,
on.
Lots
Yeah.
of gear, the pram has
sure.
to be put through a different spot.
Definitely. If you're in a rush.
Yeah, so
Avoid.
definitely avoiding going behind kids.
I think I try and pick on which border security guard as well because, like you look at some and you think, oh, they look friendly. And then you look at
friendly.
others and they look terrifying.
Look grumpy, having
Yeah.
a bad day, or
You don't want to go to the grumpy ones.
want to make a point out of you or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I
try
would agree.
and find the happy looking security guards
Sure.
if they are there.
Yep. Totally.
Yeah.
And when you go through security and passport control, are you the type that has a chit chat? Do you try to like break the ice with a?
Sometimes, if I feel like you've got to read the person who you're dealing with. If they're giving off a vibe, then I'll have a chat. If they're looking at just getting the job done, then I'm not going to get in their way.
You don't want to hold them up, make
No,
their job
definitely
difficult.
not. I just want to get through.
But if you're getting a chatty vibe from them,
I'm happy to have a yarn.
you'll give back some.
Definitely. If they're asking me where I'm going, I'm more than happy to rub it in their face that I'm
Excellent.
going on holidays and they're not.
When you pull off a perfect security pass,
a good time.
it's like poetry in motion.
Oh,
it's beautiful. When the person in front of you nails it, then you nail it, and the person behind you nails it, and there's just this
It's a good
beautiful
omen.
dance.
It's a good omen.
Oh, it makes you. It really lifts your spirits as you enter the airport, and it is a good omen. You're like, it's going to be a good flight. I'm feeling good about today's flight.
Yeah.
Security was a breeze. Everything went well, streamlined, great strategy. Had good people around me doing also good strategy. It's one of the little joys.
It is.
It's one of the little wins
Of airports.
of airports because there's not that many.
No, not really. Let's
Airports are stressful, frustrating places.
They
They
can
sting
be.
you with costs and surprises, and
Yeah.
and so when you get those little wins,
You got to take them.
they mean a lot. A nice little side note that I was going to throw in there, that when you're ever doing any airport transits, either entering the airport or after your flight when you're departing the airport, simply having a pen on hand.
Oh, definitely. That's a huge tip.
Simple, yet a huge, great strategy idea. One that a lot of people fail because in this day and age, not everybody carries a pen, understandably. Everything's electronic. But still, at a lot of countries, you need to fill out some sort of arrival card or customs card or passport card with a pen. And if you don't have a pen, they often don't provide many pens because they go missing, they get stolen, they go MIA. And so there's often a bench with one or two lousy pens that have been chained or sticky taped on a bit of string to the wall so that the last two pens in the airport don't get stolen. And there's this horrible lineup of people waiting to use these two pens because all those people had poor strategy and did not bring a simple, humble pen with them.
It's very true.
Have the pen with you. Murphy's Law, if you've got it, you may not need it. But if you've got it, then you're happy days.
You're good. Yeah, definitely.
And there'll be you might carry it for weeks and weeks and weeks and think, why did I never buy it? And there'll be the one time where you'll be like, God damn, yes, hallelujah. I've got my pen. I don't have to scrounge around like those other people.
No.
I've got my pen. I can do it as I'm walking through. I can do it as I'm standing in line. And again, it's all about that efficiency strategy when you're going through security, passport, and customs at any airport.
Would you lend your pen out to people?
Controversial.
I know.
Pretty protective with my pen.
Yeah, it's a definite boomerang, that's for sure.
It's definitely a boomerang pen. It's always got to come back to me. And to be honest, I mean, there'd only be a few cases where I would lend the pen out. If I was traveling with a friend, I'd be happy to lend it to them.
Of course.
If, say, for example, I was in the line and I'd started a friendly chat with a person in front of me or behind me, be happy to lend it to them.
Yeah.
So we've built some rapport, a bit of a bond.
But just out of the blue stranger.
Out of the blue stranger, I'd be pretty hesitant. If it'd be hard. It'd be just on case by case. It'd be a feel.
Yeah, okay.
Of trusting of that person.
See what they look like.
Yeah.
Sizing them up.
It'd be totally judgmental. Be totally based on a stereotypical view of someone I've known for 5 seconds.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether they look trustworthy or not. And I guess the other scenario might be if they really look like they were struggling.
Oh,
you know?
okay. They were flustered.
They were flustered, or perhaps maybe they were more senior or just looked confused or whatever. And it would be actually an opportunity to really meaningfully, someone who really needed the help.
Yeah,
the opportunity to really make their day perhaps by lending them the pen and helping them out. And then the other final case would be if it was someone of interest, a good-looking female, for instance. That could be a great in.
It could be.
To lend a pen in the security airport line when they're looking around for a pen. You come in on your white steed and provide the pen. Yeah. I mean, it's just a pen, but it could be a microcosm for much bigger things.
The pen is mightier than the sword, apparently.
The pen can lead to a lot down the road. If the opportunity presented itself to lend a pen to someone of interest, I would definitely go out for it to lend the pen. I mean, there could be a situation where you could just in the moment decide, no, you keep that pen and give away your pen.
Wow, that is
it's a bit of a Hail Mary. You're putting all your eggs in one basket. Yeah. But I mean,
you never know.
You got to play the wheel. You got to roll the dice.
As long as you've filled your form out already.
True. If you've filled your form out already, there's no immediate need for the pen. No, you can go and get another pen.
Yeah, they're pretty easy to get.
You can go and get another pen
outside of the airports anyway.
Yeah. Within a couple of hours, you can get onto another pen
for sure.
So it's not life and death. You've already filled yours out.
Yep.
If I hadn't already filled mine out, no one's getting the pen.
Nah.
No one's getting the pen. I'm not lending the pen out even before I've done my form. I'm doing my form first.
Oh, 100%.
Then maybe lend it out.
Then we'll see.
If I hit
then we'll start judging people and
criteria.
If they're pen worthy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But priority number one, pen and me. Pen and me, 100% first up.
Right.
So carry a pen, people. And if you are single and you're looking to pick up in an airport, carry 2 pens. So then you have the opportunity to give away that one pen.
Maybe even carry 3.
Carry 3.
You
never know. You've got to go through the airport twice.
Yeah, true.
Your departure and then arrival. So 3 pens. So there's departure airport girl, then there's arrival airport girl, and then there's pen for yourself as the backup, the third one.
I think this is a foolproof plan.
Carrying 3 pens. And just on that, this is not a strategy for airport, but or more on a dating front. Don't tell the girl that you've got other pens. Okay, make it seem like that was your only pen.
Yeah.
And you gave it to her.
Real genuine.
Okay,
love.
don't then go and say, no, it's all good. I've got 2 others. It's not going to be as special. That's not going to work.
No.
Give her the pen. Don't tell her you've got other pens. Make it seem like that was your one and only pen and you really laid it on the line as such a nice guy to give up your one and only pen to that girl who you may never see again.
You never know.
But of course, you've just increased your chances of seeing her again because you gave her your one and only pen.
Exactly.
So we're through security, through passport control.
Yep.
We're actually in the lounge waiting for our airplane, waiting to board.
Yep.
What's your strategy? Are you just chilling, hanging out? Are you using the Wi-Fi? Are you...
I like to say maybe find like a nice spot, scope out the area, find out obviously where your gate is.
Find where your gate is first.
Yeah.
So you've got your reference point.
Yeah.
You know where you've got to run to.
Exactly.
In case you're running late.
Yep.
And then do a bit of a loop, do a walk around.
Do a walk around, have a look at your surroundings, feel out the place. Sometimes you find a really good spot with a PowerPoint next to you. That's like prime.
You're looking for the different comfy seats.
Different
because not all seats are made equal.
No, definitely not. Some of those benches have the handrails, so you can't lay down. Some don't have the handrails. Hello, that's a good spot for a
They're
sleep.
becoming a thing of the past, but yeah, some airports.
Yeah.
If you search enough, you'll find the lay down spots.
They're there.
Yep.
I like a bit of an airport sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Find a little spot to nap.
definitely,
Prepare yourself.
definitely. Especially if you've got a long layover. It's nothing better than having a little snooze in the airport.
Yeah,
It's great.
I would agree. Are you the type of person who will go for a drink at the airport?
Definitely. It depends. If I'm on my own, probably not. If I'm on my own, I'm more just go find somewhere to have a snooze. But
chilling.
if I'm with some friends or if I'm with some pals, I'll definitely have a beer. Also, it depends where you are. Sometimes rather expensive, the old airport beers.
Indeed.
And if you're going to be charging me $15 for a Heineken, I'm just going to probably say no.
Pass on that.
Yeah, I'll be okay without that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I'm not doing too much drinking in like a Sydney or a London Heathrow or a JFK New York airport.
Definitely not.
But if I'm in a cheaper airport
Oh,
and if I'm going to an exciting location,
yeah,
You know?
yeah. It depends on your mood as well, doesn't it? Especially if it's like early on in the traveling, in the travel piece, if you're first leaving your first destination, you're always obviously very excited. So having a beer is a necessity.
part of the experience.
Yeah, for
especially
sure.
if you're traveling with a friend or a travel
Definitely.
buddy.
Yeah,
You're
definitely.
excited.
Yeah,
And I guess it depends too on the time of day.
yeah, that's true.
Not that there's anything wrong with drinking at any time of the day, but you're going to be more inclined to maybe have a beer past 12 noon as
True.
opposed to a 7 a.m. flight.
Yeah, that's true. Although it depends, I think. Sometimes in the midst of travel, time zones get very skew-if. So if you've come from a different time zone, and although it may be 7 a.m. in the new time zone you're in, your body clock's still on like a
That's true.
10 o'clock at night
If
vibe.
you're on a layover,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
your
maybe
body's
7
telling
a.m.
you it's 10 p.m. It's
And
beer
you,
time.
you got to listen to your body.
It's 7 a.m. wherever you are, but
But
inside.
inside it's 10. So,
10
it's
10
beer
PM.
o'clock.
Yep.
Got to do what the body says.
Fair enough. Are you eating at the airport? Do you usually fill up on a meal at the airport?
No, I try to avoid airport foods.
Can be expensive, right?
Very expensive. Very, very expensive. Also, the quality's not the greatest. And I like to eat beforehand and then get my free food on the plane and then be done with it.
Yep.
Obviously, sometimes it's out of your control again. But, when you're already on the road and these things happen, you need to eat at the airport. You can't starve. So I do then, of course.
Especially if you're hungover at the airport.
Especially if you're hungover at the airport.
You're just desperate for
A Burger King or something like that.
something greasy.
Something greasy.
Soak it up.
Yeah,
Are you using the toilets before you board the plane?
definitely.
You prefer the airport toilets to the airplane toilets?
I mean, I definitely prefer the airport toilets to the airplane toilets. The airplane toilets are quite pokey and they're not exactly a very nice toilet. But also, I like to use the toilet right before I get on the plane because you never know what's going to happen. You could get on the plane not needing to go and thinking you're going to be off, but then there's busy airports out there. Maybe there's a bit of an issue, and then next minute you've been sitting on the plane, taxiing for an hour. All of a sudden you're busting to go. So I think it's a great strategy to always try and force one out if you can. Just go there and squeeze one out.
Agreed.
Even if you don't need to, just go to the toilet and try and get one out.
Give it a try.
Give
Try
it a
your
go.
best is all
Yeah.
we're asking.
Exactly.
Aim for results. See what you get.
Exactly.
And the great thing about good modern airports these days, the toilets are really good.
Yeah,
They
they
put a lot of
definitely
time
are.
and money and design into making them with lots of stalls, with everything sort of automated.
Automated.
And I love toilet designs where there is no door that you actually have to touch to push and pull to get in and out. It's simply designed to be like a
Like an S through it.
like an S shape,
Yeah.
so that you don't actually have to touch a door because I'm a bit of a germaphobe
Oh, okay.
around toilets. I don't like to touch anything in the toilets if I can avoid it. So I'm a big fan of that.
And the flush. Sometimes I find with the automatic flush, they got that sensor on the wall behind you.
Catches you out.
Yeah.
You're mid, but it thinks you're finished.
Yeah.
And you get a little surprise, a little mid flush.
Exactly what I'm talking about.
It obviously decided that whatever you were doing was
You've had enough.
You've
been there too long.
you've reached either the time threshold or the bowl threshold where it hits a certain sensor and says this needs to be flushed before it gets any further.
Yeah.
So you get a mid flush.
A mid flush sometimes catches you off
They're just
guard.
looking out for you. But yeah, it is a bit of a surprise when you get that mid flush.
Yeah.
You do get quite a surprise.
Yeah.
Now, in addition to toilets, I mentioned water fountains, which the humble water fountain, but it can play a big difference, a big deal in your airport experience.
And on the future on the plane.
And on the plane. So tell us, what's the strategy with the water fountain?
Well, I always like to take a bottle of water with me on the plane because you don't want to be that irritating dude who's always constantly asking for water and they only ever bring you like a little bit of water at a time and it's a dehydrating environment. So hydration is the key. So I like to carry a bottle of water with me, and then obviously you have to take an empty bottle through border security, and then on the inside you look for the water fountain, you fill up your water bottle, and you're good to go.
Bingo! I like it. I do concur. I like to take my own environmentally friendly water bottle with me. Reusable bottle rather than having to constantly buy one-use plastic. So shout out to the environment.
Of course.
And also saves you money. As we all know, airports are expensive.
Yeah, and paying money for water is ludicrous.
It's crazy.
In first world countries,
if there's drinking water coming out of a free tap,
why are you paying for it?
Make the most of it.
Yeah.
Why are you paying $3, $4, $5, $6 for bottled water with
a plastic bottle?
One-time use plastic
Single-use plastic.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, outrageous.
If there's one strategy that you take away from this, bring a reusable water bottle to the airport, take it through security. Now, this is the big thing that confuses a lot of people. You are allowed to take an empty water bottle through security with you.
You are.
You're not allowed to take liquids over. Usually the 100 ml threshold is the standard.
Yep.
But you can take the water bottle through as long as it's empty. It doesn't have to be bone dried, never used.
No.
It can have
some
tiny
water
little
in there
drops.
when you get there.
It's fine. I usually like to take the water bottle semi-full or full and drink the water on the way to the airport while I'm checking in. And by the time I go through security, I've finished the water, so my water bottle is now empty. It goes through security without being pulled up and taken away from me. And as soon as I get to the other side, I've got my water bottle. I can go to those water fountains, which have free, filtered, usually cold, nice, great, clean drinking water. Fill up my water bottle. I've got water to enjoy and hydrate with while I'm waiting for my flight, and then fill it up again. So I've got a full water bottle ready to go when I board and on the plane. Because like you said, on the plane, they don't always give out water. And then when they do, it only comes around seldomly, not that often. You can't always get it when you want it. And it comes around in little small cups, not a big serving. No. And again, it's coming around in one-time use plastic cups. So cut all that out, do yourself, your wallet and the environment a favor. And it's worth mentioning that the waiting lounge, part of the waiting lounge strategy is to try and not spend much money, if any at all, because the airports are expensive. So having eaten before you come,
of course,
bringing some snacks. You're allowed to bring through snacks through security, I believe, as long as it's not hot food.
And I think it has to be sealed. I don't think you could bring like some food you've made and wrapped in a tinfoil or anything. I think if you bring nuts or something like that.
Yep, pre-sealed in a packet, hasn't been opened. Yep. So you're definitely bringing some food and snacks. Because the airports are expensive. And the other thing is you never know, your plane may get delayed. Yeah. You might end up spending a good couple of extra hours waiting in the waiting lounge. And now you're faced with a hungry tummy and staring down the barrel of a $20 meal in the airport, which is going to be disappointing on price, disappointing on taste, disappointing on quantity. And you don't want that.
No.
And
It's a bad start to your holiday.
then you come into this awkward, I'll push it and wait. Even though I'm hungry, I don't want to spend in the airport. I'll wait till I'm on the plane because I know I'm getting a free meal on the plane. And that's a dangerous game of roulette to play. That is a dangerous game to play.
Yeah.
Because even though you've got a board, you've got to get on the plane, taxi, take off, and it's not until you're at the appropriate altitude when they finally turn off the seatbelt sign and do food service, which can take quite a while.
A long time.
If it's a busy airplane, if there's a lot of people to serve, you can be an hour plus till you get your meal. You don't want to put your meal in the hands of someone else.
No.
Who's not got your hungry tummy. 14 years ago or so, issue with the plane. We taxied out. We were ready for takeoff. Some issue with the plane. We had to come back, and we spent 7 hours on the tarmac at JFK New York Airport changing or fixing some sort of part, but we weren't allowed to get off the plane, but they weren't allowed to serve the meals while we're on the tarmac either.
7 hours.
7 hours.
Wow.
That's 7 hours.
Insane.
And so even though I had eaten before I got to the airport, after 7 hours, you can imagine I was pretty hangry.
Yeah, I bet you were.
And I was waiting for my free meal on the plane, but of course they couldn't serve it, so I got stitched up.
Wow.
And from then on, I learnt to always bring some snacks with me because you never know. You could end up in the waiting lounge for many hours unexpectedly. You could end up in the plane on the tarmac, but for 7 hours with no meal service. And you'll be wishing that you brought some snacks, whatever it is, some muesli bars, some nuts, anything.
And literally anything.
Anything. You've been waiting for 7 hours for a meal. You're not fussy. You'll eat pretty much anything that comes along your way, and you'll be wishing you had anything with you when you've got nothing.
That's a great tip. That's a horrible experience.
It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. It's haunted me ever since. It's stuck with me ever since, and I'm always carrying snacks.
At least you learned from your
I've learned from the mistake. I do this thing where I hide snacks on myself. I hide snacks, and I hide so many snacks, and I'll hide them and try to hide them and not know that I hid them. Hide them from myself so that down the line I'll find them and it'll be a surprise. Yeah, great little surprise.
Oh,
and so when I get stuck, I'll be like, oh, I'm going to check every little nook and cranny, every little secret hiding spot because there's a chance that I've got a hidden snack that I didn't know about, that I've forgotten about. And I'll find a little packet of peanuts or muesli bars. They're my go-to. You want to hide stuff that's going to last.
Yeah.
You don't want to hide, obviously, stuff that's going to go off quickly, go bad, fruit and whatever. You want it to be packaged so it will last through temperatures, last through maybe a bit of moisture, any water, and just be sitting there waiting for you. The muesli bar, 3 months down the track, it's still good. Might be a little squished, but when you find that muesli bar that you hid from 3 months ago while you're waiting on a tarmac for 7 hours to get your...
and that's going to bring your mood up so much that if you, for instance, if you're waiting for 7 hours, you find this snack, you're super stoked. Therefore, it gives you a few more hours of waiting. If that happens, if you ended up waiting for 10 hours and you find this snack, you've got to be willing to accept it a bit more, you know?
That muesli bar just totally changes your demeanor and your outlook. There's suddenly
an unexpected surprise.
A light at the end of the tunnel appears in the form of a muesli bar. And you're like, I'm good. I can go another 5 hours.
Easy.
Throw it at me, JFK.
Run at me, JFK.
What do you got?
Give me 7 again.
Give me 7 again.
I want a straight
7 to
14.
life.
I want 14.
I don't ever want to fly out of here. Test me. How long can I go for? And now, probably the biggest strategy from the airport before you're actually on the plane is the boarding process.
Right.
Some people love to get on the plane first.
Yep.
Others happy to go in the middle. Others, well, if you're like me, I like to be on the plane last. I like to board last.
That's me.
So I always have a little bit of a standoff with the other 2 or 3 people who also like to board last.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like out of a Western movie where you're both standing, in the middle street of the country town, and you're twinkling your fingers above your gun, ready to draw.
Above your passport.
And there's tumbleweeds going by and just eyes looking out from behind, the windows.
Yeah. Because
something heavy's going to be down. These two's like, who's the first one going to crack? And you're eyeing each other off. And you're like, we both got the same thing in mind here. We both want to be the last person to board.
Yeah.
Who's going to crack? So I love to be the last person to board.
Yeah.
I figure, especially on a long plane ride, I'm going to be on this thing for the next 15 hours.
Yeah.
I don't need to be on there for any minute longer.
I don't really understand the people that
why do you want to get on the plane?
They're lining up to get onto, haven't even opened the gate yet. And you're lining up to, why? Why? Like you say, you're going to be on this thing for 15 hours.
If you get on there first, you're on there probably for another at least half an hour compared to me at the end. Because boarding procedure is usually open for at least half an hour.
For sure.
And I'm like, I'm going to be on this thing for 15 hours. I don't need to be on there for an extra 30 minutes.
Any second longer is too long.
So I'm standing around, I'm stretching, I'm looking. It's like going into battle on the long flights.
Oh.
It is. You got to be prepared.
Do you stretch up before a plane ride?
If I've got the motivation, I always think I know I should.
Yeah.
To have a good stretch, and then sometimes I'll be motivated to do it, but other times, for whatever reason, I'll be lazy or maybe a bit hungover or just not motivated.
Hungover is probably a pretty big one
to stretch, but a good stretch before plane is.
I don't think it's a bad idea, but I agree with you there. I know that I should. Like many things in life, you should, but the actual application is where it goes a bit wobbly.
Indeed. So we're agreed on we're last-minute boarders.
I'm a last-minute boarder as well, of course. We're both pretty big fellas, so I don't need to be cramped in that little seat any longer than I need to be. That's for sure.
So to what extent are you waiting to board? Are you just waiting till generally the end and come into the line at the end, or are you waiting until you can't even see anyone down the actual ramp and the actual connector thingy to the plane? Are you waiting until they call your name?
No, I wouldn't wait that long. I wouldn't say I would wait. I probably wouldn't wait as long as you. I'd just wait until there's no visible people sitting down in the lounge.
The bulk of the people.
Maybe a few. There's probably you and your mate milling about who are about to have a standoff, and then that's when I'll.
So you're just before the standoff.
Just before the standoff, I'm probably
after the bulk. Just before the hardcore standoff.
Yeah, I think that's about when I'm ready to get.
That's a reasonable and adult time to go through. Whereas I like to push the envelope and be in the standoff.
That's okay. It's a bit of excitement.
I like pushing it because then really to what point are you going to miss this flight?
Yeah, okay.
Because you're there, you're not going to miss it.
No, of course.
But you're if I was still coming through security and they're already calling my name, at how much time do I really have? And so I have waited plenty of times to hear my name.
Do you get a bit of a thrill out of hearing your name?
A little bit of a thrill, but also a little worried at the same time. You do a double take of the gate and your ticket to make sure you are actually at the right gate.
Spot,
because the airports are so big now, some of them you have to take buses and trains and light rail and little trammy things to go actually between the different terminals.
Definitely.
And so if you're at the wrong terminal and they're calling your name and you've got to catch a train or a bus, you're going to miss that flight.
Yeah,
so
that's bad.
You want to make sure you're at the right gate, but you're right there.
Yeah.
And I would say maybe 30% of the flights that I've caught, I've had my name called.
30%?
30%.
That's a pretty solid amount, eh?
Yeah, especially on domestic flights.
Oh, yeah.
I'll wait to the very last minute. And knowing if it's a smaller plane, knowing that I can be into my seat in 45 seconds because I can run down the gangway and it's a small plane, find my seat and be seated. I've only got a small bag, so I'm not really going to hold anything up. And I'm just one as well, If
you're just one, obviously it's a lot easier.
A group and you had more bags, or especially if you're a family with kids, so you can understand you want to get on there and get sorted.
Do you put your bag, is your bag under the seat bag in front of you? Or, because sometimes if you get on late and people just steal your overhead compartment space.
That is something to be wary of, the overhead compartment space, especially on smaller, more budget
planes.
Airlines.
And let's be honest, you see those people with their carry-on, just in inverted commas, that you can't see obviously because of the podcast, their carry-on bags are dubious to the size of this carry-on bag.
Huge carry-on bags.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
So my carry-on bag is normally pretty small, and when I do have the small carry-on bag, I know that I don't need that much room.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to forego the chance of missing out on the overhead storage.
For sure.
Knowing that I can get my bag between my feet underneath the seat in front of me and I'll be okay.
Yeah, that's it.
If it is a longer flight, I'm talking 4+ hours. Ideally, I want to get my bag into the overhead.
Yeah.
So I don't want that at my feet for a long, long time.
No.
But for anything around the sort of up to 3 hour mark, having the bag at my feet
not so bad.
It's fine.
Yeah, okay.
It's a good trade-off for not sitting in the seat 30 minutes longer.
Especially those domestic flights, those short domestic flights, those seats are brutal. They're friggin' 90 degrees straight. They're like a right angle. It's
super small.
It's
tight.
My knees are crushed against the seat in front. It's not enjoyable.
For anyone tall like us, especially you, very tall.
You'll be feeling it.
Yeah, definitely. Brings up a good point. Do you ever pay for an extra seat with extra leg room. You know, you can upgrade to they have a few rows that have the extra leg room.
Yeah, no.
You ever go for that?
Never. No. I just prefer to moan about it. Just whinge, you know.
Save your money. You feel
just
better for
save
$15 in your pocket.
Yeah, save my money and just whinge to the poor sucker next to me about how bad it is, you know.
And just bank on maybe trying to get the exit row seat.
Yeah, bank on that. And hopefully someone takes pity on me. Or, you know, when you can ask if the flight's full. And if the flight's not too full, you can do a bit of a seat move around, can't you, once the plane's taken off?
True.
Maybe you're lucky enough to get a whole row to yourself.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. I think these days, especially with the cheaper airlines, you don't always get to pick your seat for free, at least.
No, definitely. They make you pay, yeah.
$5-10 to pick your seat.
Which I'm not going to do.
No, not a big fan of that. A lot of people even don't know that because they kind of make it a bit sneaky on the website when you buy your ticket and then it takes you to the select your seat. You get excited about selecting your seat, but you don't realize that it's going to cost you $5 or $10.
Yeah.
And you don't realize that there is actually a skip seat selection.
Yeah, right.
And it will actually just automatically assign you a seat.
Yeah.
And so
people get stung there. I guess that's how they get you.
Get stitched up with that one.
They're crafty devils, these airline companies.
For those who didn't know that, a lot of the time you don't have to pay for your seat selection. It's just giving you the option, but they kind of hide the option to not select your seat.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you don't get a seat. It just means it gets randomly allocated to you.
On. Exactly.
You don't get to pick it. All right, so we're onto the plane. We've boarded last.
Yep. Everyone's giving you dirty looks.
Everyone's giving you dirty looks because they heard your name get called. They heard my name get called.
Yeah.
And we're on the plane. Any other strategies for your in-flight? How do you approach your in-flight time?
I like to, if I've got my bag when I've got my bag in the overhead compartment, I like to have my stuff that I'm going to use on the plane ready. So I'm somebody that feels the cold. So it might be a hot climate I'm in, but obviously planes are freezing.
They do tend to turn up the AC.
I like to have my warm clothes ready, have a pair of socks with me, a jumper and a pair of trackies are usually already on. Get a book out. I usually have a book with me. Put that in a little spot in front of me, my bottle of water.
Good point. And I like the idea of always having the stuff that you want out.
Yeah.
So that you don't have to get up mid-flight, get to your bag, assuming it's in the overhead. And if you're on the window, then you have to get the two people on your inside up, and it's a real pain.
If you're especially if you're not on the aisle seat, you need to be prepped and ready for sitting down for a long time.
Agreed. You've got your laptop or your phone or your tablet, whatever you're going to watch your movies on. You've got your book ready, like you said. You've got your warmer clothes ready. You've got your water bottle ready, your headphones ready.
Everything.
Nothing worse than being on the inside at the window and then wanting something from your bag in the overhead and then having to get the two people on the side of you up, especially if they're
asleep.
Asleep is the big one. Yep. If you're on that side of someone who wants to constantly keep getting up and getting to their bag, it becomes pretty annoying.
It's super annoying.
You're not so happy with that person.
No. I know. I understand. You got to get up. You got to go to the toilet. You got to get up every now and then. That's fine.
Every now and then.
Sometimes you get those people and they're up every 10 minutes, and it's horrible.
Getting up to get your headphones up. Getting up to get your
especially if it's
socks.
going back to the bag. Like if you're going to the toilet every 5 minutes, that's maybe you should go see a doctor. But you got to go. But if you're just going to your backpack to get stuff, just get it all out.
Get it all once.
And sit down.
Yep. So you get your stuff all ready and then we're taking off. So, what do you do when you're on a flight, especially a long flight? People naturally will have a nap on a flight. If you need to wake someone up.
I just go for it.
Yep.
You know.
How are you waking them up? A gentle shoulder tap?
Usually an elbow to the face.
Just start swinging the elbows?
Yeah. No, I think a subtle shoulder shake. If it's a lady, if it's a girl or a lady, a leg touch can be a bit weird.
Fair enough.
Shoulder shake's the way to go.
You're happy to touch a man on the leg?
Always, yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's fine. Let's just not go.
What's between men? What's a leg touch between men?
Yeah, I think I think it's less weird, less.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Let's not go into that. That's
I have a strategy for that. If I'm going to be in the middle or on the window, I will purposely strike up a conversation with my fellow aisle buddies.
Oh, yes.
Just a bit of general chit-chat. Say good day, say how you're doing, see if they're flying home or they're going on holidays. A minute or two of conversation just to break that ice.
Ah, okay.
So that you and them feel more comfortable. And especially if it's going to be a long flight, either mention say, oh, are you the type who sleeps a lot? Because I hate to wake you when I'm going to need to go to the bathroom or whatever. So you preface it. And they'll generally say, oh, that's okay. No, wake me up if you want to go, or I'll let you know when I'm going to go to sleep. So then maybe you can jump out, before. So you kind of make a plan with them.
That's a good idea.
To avoid it being awkward or uncomfortable later on. So if I'm on the window, I definitely want to strike up the conversation.
Definitely.
To make my intentions, to get a gauge on what they're going to be okay with. Or if I'm on the aisle or in the middle, I'll do the person on the inside of me the favor by striking up the conversation and saying, hey, if you ever need to get up, just give me a shout. Or if I happen to fall asleep, just give me a wake up.
Yep.
That's totally okay. Don't sit there, busting to go to the toilet, but not waking me up because you feel rude or something. So the 2 or 3 minute conversation to break the ice.
Definitely.
And then lay a little bit of etiquette with them.
Groundwork.
Yeah, a bit of groundwork. Let them know what you're happy with, or to check and see what they're happy with in terms of waking up or getting across if you need to get up for any reason.
Have you ever tried to do the old just like step over someone who's asleep?
The step over.
It's weird.
I personally haven't done it. Feel too tall, feel too clunky, feel too clumsy to pull it off well.
Yeah.
But have had people, seen people do it, and even do it to me.
Yeah.
You might wake up and all of a sudden someone is like trying to
Straddle
Pink
you.
Panther quietly bank robber tiptoe and straddle over the top, trying to tiptoe from armrest to armrest to get out.
Yeah.
But then any sort of subtle movement wakes you up, and then all of a sudden there's someone
In a very
you've caught them in the act.
awkward position,
tiptoeing across you. Yeah, I have seen that before. And they're the type of people, because they feel awkward, they don't want to wake a person up or disturb someone.
For sure.
But they didn't lay the groundwork of that 2 or 3 minute icebreaker conversation. So
And they could have saved themselves the
could have saved
embarrassment.
themselves the embarrassment, the awkwardness of having to perform that near gymnastic move of getting over. If you can do it well, props to you. But
I've attempted it before.
You
'cause
have?
I have. Well, I
impressive at your height.
I think that's what I went for though. Like because I'm tall, I've got a lot of reach with my legs, So
You've got the long leg room,
I've got a lot
but I'd
of
be
long
worried
legs.
you're not too tall and collecting the roof as you come through.
I am, but
You're going to have to bend a fair way over.
I'm pretty bendy. You see, so I tried it once. I successfully tried it too.
Well done.
But on the way back, the person was awake and they looked at me very confused. And we
Like
kind of
that.
had this eye contact, like we know what just happened.
When I went to sleep, you were this side of me.
Yeah.
And when I've woken up, you're on this side of me.
3 minutes ago, I was definitely straddling you.
And then
yes.
it clicked. He's like, you must have.
Yeah. But it's not something I attempt often because it's a risky move.
It is a risky move.
It's a risky move.
It is a risky move.
If
And
it goes wrong, it goes very wrong.
Indeed. And it's a move that I just have not ever saw myself doing. So for that reason, I've come up with other strategies.
Your strategies seem a lot more sound.
The 2-3 minute icebreaker chat
Yeah.
is the strategy I go for. And it's
Might make a friend for life as well.
there you go. Yeah, you do end up making a bit of a friend with someone. You find the other person might not just be so chatty, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Or they can end up being super chatty and have made a few friends from just being chatty to the person next to me on the plane.
Definitely.
Usually just a friend for the plane flight.
Yeah.
Just that chit chat, but really good conversation usually. Learn something. Interesting people.
Yeah. And if you're on a long haul flight,
Why
there's
not?
only so long you can watch movies, I find.
Indeed.
Even if they're great movies, you just get a bit bored of staring at a screen. So it's nice to.
Yep. In 15 hours, it's always good to make a friend. You never know when it can come in handy.
Definitely.
In fact, that is another good strategy, because I've had it where I've struck up a conversation with the person next to me and it's worked in my favor, where perhaps there was food or drink that they didn't want. And I was able to capitalize and get their meal and or drinks that they didn't want.
Amazing.
So I've had it where someone was like, I'm not hungry, I'm not eating or whatever. I'm going to say no to my meal, but they're always like, oh, you're a big, strong lad. You probably eat a lot. Would you be interested in having my meal rather than just giving it up? And I'll be like, yes, I would.
In fact, I would.
And then the same has happened too when they've been giving out the drinks.
Yep.
And someone might kindly mention, I'm not getting any type of drink or whatever, but I notice you're having a beer or whatever. Would you like me I can order a second one for you if you want to have my drink allocation. So striking up a conversation and making a friend, nothing to
beneficial.
lose,
No.
lots of things to gain. You never know.
Well, that's it. If they don't like to talk, then what have you lost?
That's
Nothing.
fine.
If they do like to talk, you might have a friend.
At least you've got that groundwork for the etiquette of getting up and using the toilet.
Using the facilities.
And best case, you can end up with free food, free
food,
drinks,
free
and you
beer.
mate. Yeah. So any other strategies?
I mean, for me, my big strategy is if I'm not going to get an extra seat, I want an aisle seat. I'm an aisle kind of guy.
Good point. Yeah, aisle over middle over window. I mean, I don't know anyone who enjoys
Nobody
the
wants
middle.
the middle.
No one
Nobody
wants
wants
the middle.
it. It's awful.
I think we can all agree.
Yeah.
If there is anyone out there who enjoys the middle, we would love to hear why the hell on earth
Why?
you enjoy the middle
What kind
seat.
of weirdo
of free.
are you?
Now, what else? When we're on a plane, are you watching movies a lot? Are you sleeping a lot? A book reader? Are you knocking back lots of beers? Are you eating and eating and eating?
I'm not one to eat a lot on planes. I'm not a snacker. I sleep. I reckon probably 90, maybe 80%. I'll go 80% of the flights I've been on, I sleep through takeoff.
You sleep through takeoff. You sleep that early?
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
It's a thing. It's a bit of a gift I've got. I can just sleep. And I don't know what it is. As soon as I sit in a plane and, sometimes when especially if it's a bit of a long taxi, like the vibrations of the plane just sends me off.
Settle right in.
Many times I've woken up because, there's a sudden bit of turbulence. And last thing I remember, I was on the ground and next minute I'm 10 minutes into a flight,
Interesting.
So I definitely sleep a lot on planes, which is a great thing.
You can get to sleep easy enough and be comfortable enough?
Yeah. Even being a lot of people I've met over the years of traveling are amazed at how well I can sleep on flights and trains and buses and that because, I'm quite a large person.
That is a bit of a gift if you can do that because you are a bit taller.
Yeah.
I do love a good sleep on the plane, but seldom get it because I can't fall asleep as easy and just mainly because I just don't feel that comfortable.
Yeah.
Sleep better against the window because I've got something to lean against.
Of course.
But in the middle of the aisle, nothing to lean against. As soon as I'm asleep, my head's dipping and my whole body's falling and drifting off here and there.
Yeah, no, it is a gift. It's one that I've not taken, or I have taken advantage of, but I've been very lucky to have. I know it as well.
That's impressive, and I am a little bit jealous.
Yeah.
Now, let's move to when the plane lands. This is another hotly contested and very polarizing issue.
Okay.
Plane lands.
Yep.
You taxi over to the gangway, and there's that great moment where the seatbelt sign comes off.
Oh, yeah.
You hear that little ding, you see the little light go off,
Yep.
and all of a sudden it becomes pandemonium on the plane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because people just love to rush, and they're in such a rush to get off the plane, pushing and fighting and bumping and evil looks at who gets up first, who's opening the overhead compartments first, ripping out bags, knocking each other over.
There's always that goose who gets up before the plane's even
There's always
stopped.
someone who wants it. And then the cabin crew have to say, please keep your seatbelts on.
Yeah.
We're still taxiing. Wait
Even
for the
though-
seatbelt sign to be turned off.
Yeah, that clown.
If you're one of those people, don't. Just don't.
Just
be
stop.
patient. Sit. Wait for everybody
Everybody's
else.
been on the plane for as long as you.
We all want to get off.
The hostesses have had to deal with you.
And the thing is, once
chill.
you get there to the gangway and they turn off the seatbelt sign, everybody rushes to stand up. But there's still a good at least 5 minutes before they actually finally
I haven't
open
even
the
got
door,
those stairs over yet.
get the stairs over, bring the gangway up before it's even safe, before the first person can even get off the plane.
I'm one for I just sit down. I just
sit
wait.
back and chill?
Wait for the hordes.
Me too.
Wait for the hordes to disperse. Just wait. Just chill. What's another 5 minutes?
What's another 5 minutes?
Like, all you're going to do for most of the time is, like you say, you just stand up uncomfortably anyway.
You stand up uncomfortably.
No one's going to take your stuff.
Yep.
You're fine.
I
Just
would
chill.
rather sit and wait till I can get up in my own time.
Yeah.
Comfortably.
Make sure
calmly.
you haven't left anything behind.
Check that you haven't left anything behind.
I always do about 50,000 checks.
Good point. Definitely do a triple double take.
Yeah.
Because as they say, stuff can have moved during the flight.
Yeah.
And, stuff moves all over, stuff falls in between the seats, in the seat pocket in front of you. There's
Yeah.
often one or two or maybe even three actual different little compartments.
Yeah.
So you got to check all those. You don't want to leave anything behind.
I've even had one where somehow it managed to it went in between, like the books you get in there, in little pamphlets. And my passport went inside
the magazine.
book. I was freaking out for a solid 10 minutes. Like,
I have left my passport on the plane in the seat pocket at least on 2 occasions that I can remember.
Yeah.
And not until you're off the plane trying to get out of the airport and you realise you don't have your passport.
Yeah.
And thankfully the plane is still there waiting and you can usually go back and get it as long as you remember which seat you were in and, So yeah, I remember that's happened at least twice to me.
Far out.
And at the end of last year, December, so not too long ago, sat in the middle seat, and that was my assigned seat. I was in the middle, and there was no one on the aisle. So once we took off, I moved to the aisle.
Over.
But when I sat down initially, I put things in the seat pocket in front of me, and I was sitting in the middle.
Yep.
But then when I left the plane, I left from the aisle seat. So I checked the pocket in front of me, but that was not the same pocket that I originally sat down and left my phone on the plane in the pocket.
Yeah.
Didn't realize till I got well out of the airport hours and hours later, never got the phone back.
Oh, no,
So
really?
I lost the phone. Didn't really connect and remember that I started in a different seat to where I finished.
So that's a hot tip right there.
And that brought me undone. If you're going to change seats, especially,
check.
double check you've got all your stuff.
All your pockets.
There's a lot to be said for strategy, and it goes a long way to making your plane journey more enjoyable, more relaxed.
Yeah, definitely.
And especially if you're taking lots of them. You've got to keep your flight stamina up. You don't want to get sick of flying.
No, you can't.
You got to enjoy it and
Embrace it.
Yeah, embrace it.
I always try and think especially if you're going on holidays, is the fact that you are going on holidays. So yes, this is not the most comfortable situation to be in, of course, but also you're in a gigantic metal tube flying 33,000 feet in the air. It's pretty freaking amazing.
Pretty impressive, the technology.
It's pretty wild. We're so used to it now that it's monotonous, but it's actually
take it for granted, but
pretty impressive.
It's a small price to pay for that amazing technology and where it can get you.
Take a 3-month boat, across the other side of the world. So
indeed,
think about that.
Indeed, think about that the next time you're complaining about.
If we ever get on planes again, think about it right now. COVID is the prime example. How much would you just be stoked to be getting on a plane right now?
All of your worries and former concerns and complaints about plane travel go out the window.
Who cares?
When all we want to do is be on a plane right now.
I would love to be on a plane right now.
Love to be on a plane right now.
Super happy.
The people flying back at the moment, those lucky people who are still able to fly back due to COVID, are getting at least half-empty planes.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because they're only allowing a couple of hundred people to get back in.
Yeah.
And they have to social distance on the plane and whatnot. So, only a couple of hundred people are getting on a 700-800-seater plane.
My friends went back to France and...
How was their plane flight?
Yeah, they had... It was... So you have the three... You have the three side seats. You got the 4 middle seats and then the 3 side seats. So there was just a gap between every single person. So the middle seat, there was nobody. And then in the middle aisle, there was someone on that seat, then a gap, someone on that seat, then a gap.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
So and all the host and all the hostess stewards and all that had full sperm suits on,
full
mask,
hazmat,
goggles. It looked like some sort of zombie apocalypse film.
But then they were still walking up and down. And
still walking up and down with like...
Ice in your drinks, sir?
Yeah, exactly. With like trays with your nice beverage on it and all this stuff.
Well, since we mentioned hazmat gear, we can round it out there.
Okay.
Hopefully people enjoyed our insight, our ideas and our ramblings. And hopefully there's a few tips and lessons in there, some things to think about the next time when you go to fly. And hopefully
soon.
That next time will be coming up soon.
Yeah. Hopefully come back for episode 2.
We want to thank anyone who was maybe listening.
Thanks, Mum.
Thanks, Pete's mum, especially. Super fan, number one.
Number one fan.
We will endeavour to get some sort of line of communication, get an email address up and running, get a Facebook group up and running so people can send us their feedback, their suggestions, constructive criticisms.
Not be gentle.
Be gentle. It is our first time trying it, so be gentle, but constructive criticism is definitely going to be helpful.
Yeah.
Signing out.
Cheers. See out.
A big thank you goes out to our good friend Dave Petrie of Off the Wall Sounds, who has been a huge help, and Dave kindly created our theme tune as well as worked on the sound design and mixing of this episode. You can find Dave at his website offworldsounds.com and on the gram at offworld_sounds. Thanks, Dave.